give our, oh, thanks. Go ahead and welcome you to today's brief lunch and learn. Million Acre Challenge has these lunch and learns every month. Wednesday lunch and learns on the second Wednesday of the month from 12 to 12:30. And we're very grateful that you're here today with us to talk about the Regional Conservation Partnership Program that Million Acre Challenge, along with the United States Department of Agriculture, NRCS, is sponsoring in Maryland. So Lisa's going to go into detail about that later in today's session, but I wanted to just give you a little bit of an overview of the Million Acre Challenge. My name is Amanda Cather. I'm with American Farmland Trust. Lisa Garfield is here with me from Future Harvest, and our colleague Elizabeth Beggins, who couldn't be with us today, but is almost always on these lunch and learns, is with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And the three of our organizations, along with partners across the state of Maryland and the Chesapeake region, represent the collaborative effort known as the Million Acre Challenge. And the Million Acre Challenge works to help farmers identify and adopt healthy soils practices that will help their farms become more profitable and resilient. And we do that in a variety of ways. We do it through soil health testing and benchmarking. And Lisa knows a lot more about that. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask her. We do it through a variety of farmer-to-farmer networking, both in small groups and at field days and events. We do it through financial and technical assistance for practice implementation on farms. And we do it through economic case studies that look at the financial impacts of implementing soil health practices on farms. So our goal is 1 million acres of healthy soil in Maryland and across the Chesapeake region by 2030. And you can join us and access these community, technical, and financial resources that we have available through lunch and learns, just like this one, or Soil Health to Go every second Wednesday. We have monthly newsletters. You can follow us on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can see the email addresses there for Elizabeth from Chesapeake Bay Foundation and Lisa from Future Harvest. And I believe this QR code takes you directly to the website where you can sign up for the newsletter. So we are, again, really grateful to you for joining us today. And I'm going to hand it off to Lisa for more information about the RCPP.
Thank you. Yeah, and feel free, this is a small group today, so feel free to just unmute yourself and ask questions, interrupt as often as you'd like if something comes up that you need clarification on, especially if I accidentally speak in any acronyms that you're not familiar with. I'll do my best not to do that. It can be difficult with NRCS language sometimes, NRCS being Natural Resource Conservation Service. So just wanted to start off with what is the Regional Conservation Partnership Program? The RCPP program it's a public-private partnership between organizations or projects such as ours and the USDA, Natural Resource Conservation Service. And it really allows us to partner with that agency to deliver cost share using maybe different strategies or approaches. So we propose a different strategy or approach to kind of increase engagement with the agency, and maybe enabling us to reach different audiences, and also to prioritize the particular practices that we as a project and the farmers that we work with have identified as being really important to our region. So through this partnership, we can kind of influence the way that these cost share funds are available, including negotiating for different cost share rates than might typically be available through the EQIP or CSP programs. And so in the case of this project, we were able to negotiate 100% cost share for the practices that are included in our project. Next slide. So who is eligible? All farms in Maryland are eligible. So some RCPPs focus on a particular county or a region or a small number of practices. Ours is very broad. We wanted farmers in every county of Maryland of any production system, so grain, livestock, specialty crop like vegetables, fruit production, orchard. There are practices available for any of these production systems to help take your farm to the next level when it comes to soil health, and also any scale. So small, mid-scale farms, micro farms, up to thousands of acres, grain farms, all are eligible. You can be on owned or leased land, and there's some kind of unique arrangements for land rental that are available through this project. And finally, we wanted to give some priority to reaching underserved producers. So producers who typically have not taken advantage of conservation funding or have been left out of opportunities because their farm was too small or it wasn't covered by the standard kind of foundational practices. So that includes beginning farmers, small to mid-scale farmers, veterans, farmers of color, and under-resourced farmers. So there's something in here for pretty much every farmer in the state. And this is a very non-exhaustive list of some of the practices that are covered. These are the soil health and climate smart focus practices. On the next slide, you'll also see some enhancements and enhancement bundles that are usually distributed through the CSP program. And these include practices that can be used both in the field, on cropland or grazing land, but also edge of field practices or other areas of the farm where you may want to build soil or improve water quality, provide habitat for wildlife and beneficials, increase the biodiversity of the farm overall, increase carbon cycling and storage, and also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And so you can choose from sort of the basic foundational conservation practices that are typically funded through the EQIP program, or the practices that are included in the CSP program, which is very underutilized in the state. So we were very excited to see some of the next level practices that are available through that program. And again, this is just a taste of what's available. Prior to the CSP program, we would hear from a lot of early adopter farmers who would go into the NRCS office and be told that there was really nothing there for them because they had already implemented the conservation practices that the funding covered. And you can only get funding for new practices. So in a sense, farmers that were ahead of the curve and had invested their own time and funds were really left out of those cost share opportunities. And so the CSP program really offers next level practices, which they call enhancements, and enhancement bundles that really build on those foundational practices, offering opportunities for more advanced farmers to really take some new, more innovative steps in their journey towards soil health and regeneration. And so, as I was saying, this program, the CSP program, has been very underutilized in Maryland. And so we were really excited to have them included and prioritized in this RCPP project. Just like the EQIP practices, there are enhancements for every production system that focus on soil health improvement and building carbon stocks, greenhouse gas reductions. However, the enhancement bundles are mostly focused on grazing systems. So how does one get involved? How do you sign up for this great opportunity? First step is optional, but recommended, and that is enroll in the Million Acre Challenge. There are no strings when you join the Million Acre Challenge. It will just connect you to the resources that we're offering, and the information that you share in the short enrollment survey will give us really valuable information that helps guide the project. So again, that is not a required step, but we would love it if you would connect with us through that step. There will be an application that is specific to this RCPP project, and you can get in touch with us to get that application, or you can stop into your local NRCS office and ask for it. If you go to the office, it is important that you ask specifically for the Million Acre project for that application so that they know which cost share program you're interested in. Next, you can schedule a farm visit with both Million Acre Challenge staff and your conservationist at NRCS, and we can help you begin identifying what your goals are, what resource concerns you have, and help begin the planning process. And then finally, the actual contract that you engage with will be through NRCS. So once you have a plan written and identify which practices or enhancements are appropriate for your system, you will go through a typical contracting process. And as a part of our partnership with NRCS, we will also be offering some additional services to kind of help you fully engage and reap all of the rewards of the project. So part of that includes support during the application process. So we can offer some technical support. We can help identify what practices might be appropriate for your system. We can provide soil health assessments, both in-field assessments and lab testing through the Cornell Soil Health Lab. We provide a lot of education opportunities through monthly webinars, through demonstrations and on-farm field days, as well as some conference sessions that we have a whole track at the Future Harvest Annual Conference that focuses on soil health and regenerative agriculture. And then finally, we can really help take advantage of identifying other complementary funding and technical support options. So sometimes your contract with NRCS isn't going to be the whole picture. Even though it's 100% cost share, it's based on federally decided rates, and sometimes there may still be gaps in that funding. We have other possible funding sources that could help fill in those gaps, or even take additional steps if what you would like to do on your farm isn't fully covered by what NRCS can offer. And that is my very brief overview of the project. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions if you have any. We are just kicking this project off, so we will be promoting it in various places throughout the next couple of years. It's a 3-year project, and you know, we look forward to working with you.
Hi there. I do have a question about soil health testing, and I'm wondering if you include soil biology, or if you have any plans to include soil biology testing.
Right now, we are a partner on PASA's soil health benchmark study that uses Cornell's comprehensive assessment of soil health for farmer research collaborators in that project. And that is really the set of indicators that we use for most of our projects. So yes, it's a combination of physical, chemical, and biological indicators. It includes things like soil respiration, active carbon, other kind of proxy measures of healthy soil biology like aggregate stability, along with the chemical.
Okay, but not microorganisms. That is not fungal hyphae, not bacteria, not nematodes, not protozoa, as far as you know.
We're not doing any. We're not doing like the Haney test that identifies particular species or gives fungal to bacterial ratios. There is information there to the organic matter is broken down into total carbon and total nitrogen, so you can figure out what your carbon to nitrogen ratio is in the soil. So some kind of proxy indicators that you can look at, but yeah, no actual identification of bacterial composition.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions so far?
Lisa, do you know whether the NRCS, I think they have a soil health testing practice now do you know whether that would cover any of that kind of soil food web analysis?
I don't know, but that's a very good question. It's very possible. Some of the practices that are covered through this project, if you dig deeper, they may cover some of that type of testing. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be worth trying to find out.
Mm-hmm. Same with there's a new compost practice standard that has finally been approved, and there's some pretty rigorous compost testing requirements. So it's also possible that may include some more extensive biological testing.
Those standards are coming from where? The new compost standards? NRCS?
They are federally derived. Each practice that NRCS offers cost share have a practice standard developed for them that when you engage, you need to follow to some degree. You know, there's some flexibility within some of the practices when it comes to implementation, but they want to make sure if they're funding it that it's carried out in a way that is going to be successful. So always good if you're interested in a particular practice to kind of go in and look at that practice standard and see if it kind of meshes with your idea for implementation as well. We were excited to see the compost one move from an interim practice standard to a fully funded and developed practice, so that now farmers can, get some financial help for purchasing and spreading compost on their properties. Or it's actually carbon amendment, so it's not just compost, it includes biochar.
So if I just go to NRCS and look for new compost standard, I'll find it?
Yes, and I just put it in the chat too.
Oh, perfect.
If you would like, I put the compost one, the soil carbon amendment one, and also actually the soil health testing. It's called a conservation evaluation and monitoring activity, and you might be able to look through there to see if they have any more specifics about what they will cover.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and just hearing the names of the different practices as they're included really kind of underscores how we can help farmers navigate the site and the program, because it's not always the most intuitive if you're not familiar with the kind of the language that's being used within the agency. So sometimes if you're not seeing something that really jumps out at you, it can be helpful to speak to someone, find out if there's something masked there that will in fact be useful.
Right. I mean, I am interested specifically in soil food web health and compost, biological compost, and what that's doing to farmland, and who, if anybody, is interested in this yet. Here on the East Coast in particular. I mean, we've got a lot more going on in the West, obviously.
Yeah, we do work with some farmers who are doing some really innovative compost making and bokashi, you know, applying bokashi methods.
Good morning. So thank you for having this webinar. I was just curious, we're at the very beginning stages of starting to farm. And one of the things that we've been really focused on is just improving soil health. And so is there a list or just like a resource that you know of to where you can go and have like approved kind of vetted vendors that offer compost?
That is a great question. And unfortunately, in this state, it's really been a moving target. They've kind of come in and out of existence. Where are you located?
So we're actually in PG County, but we're very close to Charles County as well. But one of, like, what we don't want to do is just add a bunch of bad stuff to the soil. So we're, you know, becoming more and more educated about who we need to be getting the compost from, because we're not at a point where we can make our own. So I just didn't know if there was a resource that you knew of to where we can contact them, because everybody seems to say, oh, you know, ours is okay. But yeah. I just don't necessarily trust it.
Yep. PG County makes the leaf grow products, which I think a lot of people are very happy with. But I would say the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, who were actually one of the original founding partners of this project, they really are the experts on composting in the region. They have a lot of amazing online resources, webinar series. They help people set up composting systems on the farm. And yeah, they would be a great resource.
Okay, and is that what Amanda just posted? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, any others that come to mind, Amanda?
I feel like all the other ones that I'm thinking of, I hesitate to totally recommend.
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard that too. Yeah, but I think ILSR would be the best resource. They'll know the kind of most updated, because things also have changed. You know, they change every year. Folks are getting better at what they do, and as Lisa said, some of the businesses have kind of come and gone. So ILSR will have the best updated information for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have a quick question about the project. Is there an application deadline?
That is a good question. The application deadline has not been set yet. It will likely be spring, based on kind of NRCS's review process and their calendar. We're trying to keep it open for as long as possible, while also making sure that it doesn't kind of sit in limbo too often when it reaches NRCS kind of decision-making structure. So we should have more information about that very, very soon, kind of wrapping up those final details. But importantly, you can put in an application at any time. It just, the application deadline really only influences when your funding would be available. They will accept them on a rolling basis. It's just a matter of whether it would get bumped to the next funding cycle.
So just how it works is you apply and then it gets accepted by NRCS, and then they distribute the money. How does it work logistically?
Yeah, you apply to NRCS. It goes through they review process. They develop a contract with you for the practices that are approved. And then you are able to begin the work, and work needs to be completed within a designated time frame. Often it's 12 months from the time of contracting, but that may vary a bit depending on the practice and kind of when it's approved versus when it makes sense to actually complete the practice in the field. And then you are reimbursed based on the cost share amount that is determined through the contracting process.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this was, thank you for joining us. This was definitely just kind of a first intro to this project that's just getting started. Please reach out at any time if you have additional questions or would like some help kind of navigating the project. If you're interested in someone from our staff coming out to do a farm visit and discussing options, we can help kind of assess, what kind of constraints you have or help identify the right path forward based on the goals that you have for your own farm and business. I think that's a really important part of this is we want to help take a really holistic view of your farm and operation and just try to offer support to get you where you want to go, and also reap some environmental benefits along with that.
So if we're interested in having someone come out, how do we set that up? Like, what's the best way to go about doing that?
You can email myself,
Okay.
Lisa at futureharvest.org.
Okay.
And also Elizabeth Beggins, who is our outreach specialist, who is usually the moderator for this monthly session, but she wasn't able to be here today. So we would come out and kind of discuss, schedule a good time for a visit and discuss your options.
And is there like I'm sorry, this is, like I said, we're at the very beginning stages. I have been working with our soil conservation district. And so what are the differences between like what they have come out and kind of offered and what you all would offer?
It's absolutely great that you've already reached out to your districts. They are a super valuable resource as well. And this project, they will be helping deliver technical support for this project as well. So I would say, we really like to work as a team if possible. And this project, the goal is really to get some partnership amongst these different agencies so that we can deliver the best services available. So if you mention to them that you're interested in the Million Acre Challenge RCPP project, then, it might make sense to schedule a visit with all of us at the same time
Okay.
kind of get everybody on the same page.
And are you working with Prince George's?
Yeah,
So-
I'm working with Kim Rush Lynch.
So those guys are awesome. So you really are in a great place. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working with them for a couple of years on like how we got started was like soil conservation, and we were having major erosion issues on our property. And so they got together with the county, and they've made major improvements to our property.
Yeah.
And so now we're like, oh, well, let's try and utilize the land and try and grow some things.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, they've been awesome. So,
And Kim will be such a great resource for you in terms of accessing this kind of NRCS funding, cost share. You know, if you tell her about, I'm sure we've told her about this RCPP, but she has so many things going across her desk every day that, you know,
right.
if you remind her about it and let her know you're interested, then she can help you figure out which practices might be best for you. And yeah, I mean, she's one of the best. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and just so that you're aware, so she has a Facebook group, and then we also do, it's like open mic nights.
Awesome.
And so I can offer this information in those different groups as well. So just to kind of get the word out for you.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate that. And yeah, seconding that, you're in a good county. You're in a good county. And you know, county by county, this is another kind of reason to connect with as many agencies and organizations as possible. Is the technical expertise really varies by county. And sometimes, you know, you have certain people with certain technical expertise in one place, but you're not necessarily going to run into them when you go into your local office. And so having more people able to connect you to what you need is really helpful.
Well, thank you for offering this. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'll try and put the word out. So everybody
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful
Thanks
day.
for being here.
It's nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Have a
Take
good
care,
day.
everyone.
Bye.